In the high-stakes world of the 1960s space race, failure was not an option. Humanity was pushing its machines to the absolute limit, tearing holes in the sky at impossible speeds. And to hold these machines together, to keep them from ripping apart under the strain, engineers needed a bond that was stronger than steel. They needed a miracle. Deep in the top-secret labs of the 3M Company, that miracle was the mission, the project, to create the world's most powerful adhesive. And the man who held the key was a brilliant chemist named Dr. Spencer Silver. And he failed spectacularly. What he created wasn't a miracle. It was a mystery. It wasn't strong. It wasn't tough. It was barely sticky. He had invented a glue that didn't bond. It befriended. An adhesive so gentle, so non-committal, you could peel it away with zero effort. He had accidentally created the most useless glue on the planet. A complete, career-defining flop that would one day become one of the most successful office products in history. So, how did a spectacular failure become an icon? Well, for the answer to that, we have to go to church. It's a peaceful Sunday morning. The choir is in full voice. The light is filtering through the stained glass windows, and all is right with the world, except for one man. His name is Art Fry, and he is at war. His enemy? Not sin, not temptation, but a gentle breeze from the overly enthusiastic organ player, whose dramatic rendition of the closing hymn signals the start of the Great Marker Migration. You see, Art was a diligent member of the choir, but his little scraps of paper, so carefully placed to mark the hymns, had a mind of their own. Every week, a powerful chord from the organ would send his meticulously placed markers fluttering away like confused, papery birds, scattering across the floor in a flurry of failure. He'd lose his place, miss his cue, and earn a stern look from the choir director. He was a man of science, a believer in order and predictability, yet he was being consistently outsmarted by basic aerodynamics and flimsy paper. This brings us back to our failed superglue. For years after his accidental discovery, Dr. Silver tried to find a use for his underwhelming creation. He became the company's resident evangelist for a product nobody wanted, championing his gentle glue within 3M, giving seminars and showing it to anyone who would listen. He slathered it on notice boards, hoping memos would cling with a newfound gentleness. They mostly just sort of leaned, like a tired party guest looking for the nearest exit before slowly sliding to the floor. He tried to create a reusable bandage, which had the unfortunate side effect of falling off if the patient sneezed too hard. He envisioned a world free from creased pages, but his prototype bookmarks slipped out of books with the enthusiasm of a toddler escaping bath time. It was a scientific dead end, a glorious failure gathering dust on the lab shelves. Poor Dr. Silver probably felt like he'd invented the world's most polite form of litter. He had a solution, but he desperately needed a problem. Now, fast forward a few years and enter our hymn-loving, perpetually misplaced Art Fry, a man who had a problem, but no solution. He'd been grumbling about his flying hymn markers for ages. One Sunday during a particularly long sermon, his mind wandered back to one of Dr. Silver's seminars about the bizarrely unsticky glue. As the pastor droned on, a light bulb flickered above Art's head. Dimmer than usual, perhaps, given the weak glue involved. He realized he didn't want a strong adhesive. He wanted a temporary one. He wanted an adhesive that was, in a word, non-committal. What if he could use that on his little paper markers? They wouldn't permanently adhere to the hymnal, but maybe, just maybe, they'd stick gently. The next day, he approached Dr. Silver, probably with the air of someone suggesting using a sieve to carry water, and proposed his somewhat bonkers idea. Silver, bless his scientifically bewildered heart, was just thrilled someone had finally found a problem for his solution. He agreed to give it a go. Fry coated some small pieces of paper with the low-tack adhesive, and voila, they stuck to the hymn book pages. And even better, they peeled off without tearing the delicate paper or leaving a residue. It was a minor miracle in the world of liturgical stationery. Aye, but the journey from hymn markers to office staple was paved with more comical mishaps. Fry started using his prototype press and peel notes, as they were initially called, all around the 3M offices. Imagine Fry leaving a note on a colleague's monitor, only for it to gently float to the floor unnoticed, like a single autumn leaf. Picture important instructions attached to documents that then detach themselves mid-journey between departments, leading to utter confusion. We can even imagine a manager using one for a top-secret memo, which then floats off his desk, sticks to the back of the office pets, who then parades the secret plans around the entire office for all to see. The office probably resembled a low-budget haunted house, with random pieces of paper drifting through the air. It was like trying to sell decaffeinated coffee to a caffeine addict, or a car with a maybe engine. One particularly memorable story tells of a marketing executive who tried to demonstrate the notes by sticking one to his forehead during a big presentation. He continued his speech, gesturing grandly, completely unaware as the note began a slow, dramatic peel. It detached, did a graceful pirouette in the air, and fluttered directly into his coffee cup. The room reportedly erupted in laughter, and not the kind that inspires confidence in a new product. The turning point came from a marketing team on the brink of giving up. Frustrated by the lack of interest, they decided on a bold, last-ditch move: the Boise Blitz. They chose Boise, Idaho as a test market and decided to give away free samples. This wasn't just a small handful. They flooded offices across the city with these slightly odd, not very sticky notes, basically forcing them into people's hands. At first, office workers treated the strange yellow squares with suspicion, as one might treat a gift from corporate that was probably a trick. But then, something magical and slightly anarchic happened. People started using them. Then, they started relying on them. They marked pages in reports. That wouldn't tear. They passed messages, they organized their thoughts, and they even started creating impromptu paper mosaics on their cubicle walls. The rest, as they say, is sticky history. After the Boise Blitz, demand soared and the notes were rebranded as Post-it notes. They became an indispensable part of office life, a silent language of reminders and passive-aggressive fridge notes about stolen yogurts. The story is a powerful testament to how the best inventions can come from spectacular failures, born from hymn singing, a useless glue, and office-based slapstick. If this story stuck with you, hit that like button. And so you don't need a Post-it note to remember our next video, subscribe and tell us about your best happy accident in the comments below.